Journalist Alex Isenstadt got unusual and exclusive access inside President Trump's campaign for re-election. In his new book, due out next month, Revenge, the inside story of Trump's return to power, Isenstadt takes readers deep into Mar-a-Lago, inside the courtroom, and aboard Trump Force One.
One of the items that stood out to Isenstadt was the depth of concern about an Iranian attack on Trump and how that threat impacted the candidate. Here with us now to discuss some of what he uncovered in regard to Iran and Trump is none other than Alex Isenstadt. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just start off on that Iran topic. Why did Iran become such a key concern for Trump and the people around him?
Sure. So Iran has always been somewhat of a concern for Trump ever since he ordered the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani back before he left office in 2020. But things intensified over time, where to the point that towards the end of the 2024 campaign, the threat level from Iran was so intense that at one point, Trump was informed by law enforcement officials that Iran had agents in the United States with access to surface-to-air missiles that could be used to down his plane, Trump Force One.
And of course, Trump was actually the victim of an assassination attempt, got shot in the ear. Was there immediate speculation that that was perhaps Iranian linked because of the warnings the campaign received? Do you have any idea about that?
There was speculation initially, but law enforcement has never found any evidence to suggest that the Butler shooting was tied to Iran. And in addition, the foiled assassination plot against Trump in September at his golf course in West Palm Beach, there's never been any evidence to directly linking Iran to that either.
Alex, I just want to get back to what you mentioned there about surface-to-air missiles and the threat that they posed to the campaign jet, Trump Force One. In the book, I understand that you detail what was essentially the use of a decoy jet, or in fact that the real jet did not have now President Trump on board. Tell us a little bit about exactly what went on there and what it says about perhaps Trump's view of his staff.
Sure. So this was in fall during the home stretch of the campaign, and Trump had been informed of this threat, and the very high leaders of the campaign came up with a plan, which was to have Trump would secretly, covertly go into a private jet that was actually owned by Steve Witkoff, his friend, who's now the Mideast envoy in Trump's administration. He's playing a pretty key role in the administration. Trump would go on to Steve Witkoff's G6 Gulfstream jet. He would be joined by a very small group of aides, including Susie Wiles, who's the campaign manager and now White House Chief of Staff. And unbeknownst to many other Trump campaign officials, they would be going into Trump Force One themselves. And so when they got to Trump Force One, the campaign aides didn't realize that Trump wasn't going to be on it wasn't going to be on the flight until just before the doors closed. They saw that Trump was not in his usual seat, and that's when campaign leaders informed the campaign aides of what the plan was, that Trump wasn't on the jet, wasn't on Trump Force One, and that it was just a test for how things could be working moving forward. Of course, a lot of the campaign staffers were not too happy about this, understandably so. They felt like they could be bait in the event that the plane was shot down. The campaign leaders tried to assure them that that wasn't the case, but it was, by all accounts, a fairly surreal flight with a lot of gallows humor.
Very bizarre situation, I would think. I mean, they're on this plane, and I mean, whether they thought they were bait or not, they were effectively. I mean, if the campaign jet was a target and they were on it and Trump wasn't, that's pretty wild stuff, no?
Right, and it was a very intricate plan where a lot of these staffers, they actually got to Trump Force One in a motorcade, thinking that Trump was also in that motorcade. Unbeknownst to them, Trump had his own separate motorcade, which took him to Steve Witkoff's G6 plane. And so you had two separate motorcades, and these staffers didn't know until the plane was just about to take off that Trump was not with them.
Trump recently made some comments about Iranian leadership, referencing that if they were to take him out or take out some other senior official, that there are plans to retaliate, but that he doesn't want to have a combative relationship with the Iranian regime. Were those comments being taking into account what he learned and what the campaign learned over the last couple months from Iran's designs on him? And is this an ongoing problem that will be made worse or better depending on what his policy is?
Sure. Trump is well aware that Iran wants him dead. Trump has been aware of this for some time. He became increasingly aware of it by the end of the campaign. And he didn't talk about this incident specifically, but at certain points he did go on X and he did say that he'd gotten alarming information about Iran. And so that is definitely shading his thinking right now when he's asked questions about the threat that Iran poses to him, which is what happened last week. And so you can bet that this is something that is coloring how he's going to be dealing with Iran moving forward.
Alex, just getting off briefly the Iran topic, in terms of reporting the book and the access that you obtained, what else really stuck out in your mind? What was the sort of key things that surprised you or took you aback?
One of the things that really surprised me was how much of a different campaign and how much more functional of a campaign it was from the campaigns that Trump ran in the past. But also, Trump in a lot of ways, and you're seeing this as he goes into office, he's a changed figure in a lot of respects. He's not quite as manic as he used to be. He's a little bit more relaxed in some respects. He's more willing to listen to people around him, to take in advice. He's, in some ways, a little bit chastened. He has learned a lot from what went wrong in his first administration, and he's learning from that. And he learned from that to improve his to improve his 2024 campaign. And he's also in some ways learning from that as in his now second White House. Things are, by all accounts, a bit more functional. You're having fewer leaks. He's tolerating less dissent. And so you're just seeing a bit of a different environment in this White House. And you saw a very different environment in his campaign, in this campaign, than the ones you saw in 2016 and 2020.
How much of that has to do with the people he is surrounding himself with this time? It seems to me, last time he had his people, actually he had some of his family members making very key decisions, Jared Kushner and others, and then also a kind of Republican old guard still in a lot of the same positions that were lukewarm toward Trump at best, in some cases outright combative. Now it seems to me to be a lot of people who have gotten Trump's attention or gotten into Trump's orbit by being on the same page with him, even though there's tremendous ideological disagreements about policy among these people, but there aren't really disagreements with respect to Donald Trump himself.
That's exactly right. And one of the other things that I found is that for all the talk that Trump enjoys chaos, he actually has a lot less tolerance for it right now. And so that's one of the things he really likes about Susie Wiles, which is that she, of course, respects him. She has the respect of people around her who she's brought into the White House who are not fighting with each other. And so in the first White House, you had infighting between Steve Bannon, Jared Kushner, Reince Priebus. Now you only have one White House. You have one centralized White House structure that is really people who are loyal and close to Susie Wiles. And Susie Wiles is loyal and close to Donald Trump. And she doesn't bring chaos into the fold. And Trump likes that. And so you're seeing a very different dynamic this time around.
Alex Isenstadt of Politico and the author of Revenge. Sounds a great book. Everyone should go and buy it immediately. But thanks for joining us on Rising.
Thank you.
Coming up next, one Michigan lawmaker's stance on reproductive rights. Stay with us.